Hi, Joe here for GoonerTube, and I'm here with Kaya today. We're in a blustery location, although we're undercover and under the heat guns here, which is quite nice. So we're keeping nice and warm. And we're going to be talking about the upcoming game against Leicester City. Now, we were speaking very briefly off camera there about the Rapid Vienna game and how it went for us. And although we won, we seem to make slightly difficult work of it. But I imagine it's going to be very, very different with a very different setup with the Leicester game coming up. And so, Kai, how do you feel it's going to be in team selection, and how do you feel it's going to be with the way he's going to tactically form the team?
I think you should go with a back four rather than a back three. I think we need the extra man in the middle. I think if we sit back too much and try and catch him on the counter, I think that's quite a negative way to go, in my opinion. So I'd like to see a back four with three in the middle. I mean, I'd like to see Elneny keep his place. I did praise him the other day in the review for the Rapid game, and I'd like to see him sit there in front of the back four, almost make it like a back three, if you know what I mean, but just offer a little bit going forward as well. I think when we have the three at the back, they tend to just sit there too much, you know what I mean, and not kind of make an extra man in the midfield. So I'd like him to go 4-3-3. I mean, I'm petrified about Louise versus Vardy. You know, that scares me half to death. He's got a really good record against us, so
I've got a feeling on that front. I've got a feeling that Arteta will be briefing Gabriel about Vardy, and I should imagine. Well, I'm kind of hoping that Gabriel will be given that task.
Yeah, but it's what Brendan Rodgers does. He's Gabriel's left foot.
He's going to be playing off of Louise's shoulder, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to stick him on Louise. It's as simple as that. And I think Gabriel will have his own work to do on the left-hand side of the two. But yeah, Vardy,
just unless he goes man marking.
Yeah, this is another thing as well. You know, it's you can man mark him. We don't really tend to do that though.
No, because then that takes Gabriel out of the game.
Yeah. I mean, they're a tough side. I mean, they've got some really, really good players. You know, they didn't finish where they did last season for nothing. So you know, you've got to take them seriously, and he's doing really well with them. I mean, I know they fell off towards the end of the season last year, but you know, it's a tricky game.
It is.
If we can win that and somehow get something at Old Trafford. I remember the game at Old Trafford last year. We should have battered them. We drew, right? That still irritates me. But they've hit a little bit of form as well, Man United in the last two games with the PSG result. And if we can just beat Leicester and maybe get a draw at Old Trafford, I'd probably take that, you know, if you offered it to me now.
I did say this again. I think I was with Tony. We were talking about that, and I said if we can get 4 points from those two games, I'd be quite happy with that.
Yeah, then you look at the first 7 games. You looked at it at the beginning of the season, and then you look at our points total after the Man United game going into the international break. If we could accumulate 4 points at the last 2 games, I think you'd take it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. Let's go back to Elneny. It's funny, isn't it? Because a lot of people slate Elneny, and he does go unnoticed a lot of the time. But usually, especially this season, he seems to be a different sort of player. He seems to be much more confident in his own ability, and he seemed to be passing it forward. That through ball for Bellerin, for example, was a really that was Ivan Needle stuff. That was a really, really good slick pass. And if that had been Partey, everybody would have been jumping up and down.
Exactly.
And all the talk was about Partey because obviously new player and 45 million, and he come in and he was brilliant. I've got to be honest. I mean, I watched another highlight reel the other night again, just with him, focused on him, and it was all of his stuff, and he was brilliant. Yeah, but mate. I think Elneny, he kind of goes. He's a bit unsung, isn't he? He still helps that midfielder work, and I think he could be an integral part.
I believe Partey was only able to do the things he can do because of the reassurance that Elneny's there. Yeah. And I think Elneny for me is just, as I said, I think he's going to be an unsung hero for us. I'll be disappointed if he doesn't start tomorrow. Tomorrow. I'd start him with Partey and probably Ceballos. And then you'd have Aubameyang, whoever up front. I mean, that front three's a bit of a mess, isn't it?
At the moment,
what'd you do?
Yeah.
Did you play Aubameyang through the middle? I mean, I know you got a tap in, but before the tap in on Thursday, it was pretty. I mean, I don't ever get on his back because he's like a bit of a, he's a bit of a god to us all at the minute. But I mean, he had about 6 touches before he got the goal in the end, and they were just wayward. Our passes were over here, and you're looking at him, you're thinking, what the fuck's going on here? So I don't know what to do with the front three. I mean, your guess is as good as mine, Joe. What would you do?
This is up for debate because I said to Andy that I prefer Aubameyang on the left of the three because he does like to cut in a lot, very Henry-esque, and I prefer if you're going to put someone in the middle up front, is to put a natural finisher. So my choice would always be with a natural finisher. So whether that's Lacazette or Nketiah, now I think Nketiah's still learning his trade. He's good and he's a natural finisher, but I would put Lacazette up the middle because I think he needs game time to really, this season especially. And I would stick with Pepe because I think Pepe is slowly building confidence.
Yeah?
I would. No, I'd put Willian on the bench. I think I'd bring Willian on maybe for Pepe for in the second half.
But what does that say then? Are you saying that Willian's a Europa League player?
No.
Would you have him as a Premier League player? Because you've got to pick one of them.
I've definitely got him as a Premier League player. No, well, I suppose if you're saying you should start him and then bring the likes of Pepe on once you need that pace. But I don't know. I'd start with Pepe. I think he needs more starts. I think he just needs to build up that confidence. And also they've got to justify this price tag on this man's shoulders as well.
I would thought he was bad again on Thursday, Pepe. I didn't think he played well. I see some people saying he had an alright game. I must have been watching something else.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was that good. He's playing against pretty average players and he's still not shining. It's a big game on Sunday. It's a big game.
Yeah.
We can't take no risks and keep trying players that are not performing. I would go with Willian on the right myself because I think technically he loses the ball a lot less. And with him, because he's got both feet, you don't know which way he's going to go. With Pepe, he needs to spend another 6 months just developing his right foot a bit more, I think. It's a bit late in the day though, isn't he? What's he, 24? Do you know what I mean? How much can you develop it now?
Yeah, I know. So he was always used to say that about Theo Walcott.
Yeah.
He's still young. Well, he's not actually. He's not young anymore, and he's been here since he was 16 or 17.
No prospect about him anymore.
It's funny, isn't it? How it goes. Let's go back to Elneny quickly. You were talking the other day about the fact that you feel Xhaka's days are numbered.
Yeah.
And
I'll go with that. Still.
I'm kind of agreeing with you, but it's going to be interesting to see now if he starts sticking with Elneny over Xhaka. If you're Xhaka, you're going to start to worry?
Well, you've got to. Elneny's playing better. He's a better in that position. He's a better footballer. It's just as simple as that. I mean, his rate of pass. You watch him on Thursday. I spent about 5 minutes just watching him. Right? It's not just because he goes backwards, forwards, backwards, sideways. I think there's a little bit more to it. You've got to look a bit deeper than that. It's the weight of his passes. He judges the pace of the player, whether they're sprinting or jogging or and he seems to be able to find the exact weight that he wants.
He almost lulls them into a false sense of security. Do you notice that? What he does, he kind of pretends that he's not going to catch them, lets them make their move, and then makes his move. Almost like anticipates it.
I saw him play a couple of passes where he's almost, as you say, draw the player on. He's almost chipped it over his foot as the tackle's coming in. Yeah. And he's still weighted it in someone's path. Yeah. He's really, really playing well for me, and no one's mentioning him.
Isn't it funny?
I watched all the reviews. Not one of them mentioned him. I was a little bit like, come on, girls and boys.
So that's going to be an interesting thing because if you've got the creativity of Ceballos, like you're saying, if he's in there, and you've got the defensive abilities of Elneny, where does Partey fit into that? Is he going to be the sort of in-betweeny man? I mean, they don't call him the octopus for nothing. We saw that on Thursday. But let's bear in mind that was Rapid Vienna. No disrespect to Rapid Vienna supporters or the club. Because they are who they are. But this is Leicester City we're talking about now, and they've got a good attacking, strong side, very fast, good on the break, typical Leicester City side over the last 5 or 6 years, and so we've got to be careful with that, haven't we? So if he's going to put a side out there, it's got to be a good combination of everything, isn't it? Brendan Rodgers' sides, they tend to break very quickly, don't they?
They do. But Brendan Rodgers' sides as well, they can play good possession football. They've got the likes of Tielemans, Maddison, very, very capable players, all internationals. So, in terms of keeping the ball, they can keep it as well. They're not really a side that, from when they won the league, they're playing pretty much counter-attacking football the whole season. I think they're like 35% possession the whole season.
But have you noticed as well that
they've changed? I think they've evolved a little bit.
To find the difference I find with them now. I mean, they did back then, but I found then what they tended to do. They tended to do it was a lot of long balls over the top for Vardy to chase. And he's a little bit older now, so he's probably quick.
Getting quicker though, mate.
Well, I don't know, is he? I don't know. But maybe it's just me. But by the way, if this camera's moving around a little bit, we're going from nothing to force 9 goal all of a sudden, isn't it? But yeah, so what I find with them now is although they do play long balls, and you saw it against Man City, they are capable of scoring goals from 25, 30 yards as well. So I think I think what's important is that bit between the midfield and the defence. This is where Partey, I think, is going to really stand out for me. Is that ability to protect the defence and tidy up. What do you think on that front?
You got kind of. I think if he goes with Elneny at the base and Partey, almost like three layers. Elneny, Partey helping Elneny out and helping out Ceballos if he plays, and Ceballos maybe getting a bit further forward than Partey. I think them three could really work well in the middle. Elneny almost plays as a centre half, stroke midfielder, so it gives you that extra option. I think. I think that would be the way I'd go, with the three of them in the middle there.
And also, while we're sort of talking defensively, if you like, about shielding the defence, I think the defence and Leno need to sort themselves out. You were talking about the fact that you wish they'd stop playing out from the back. I don't think your wishes are going to be answered, because I think that's one of the things that he's really trying to push onto the players. And you were saying about the fact that Leno's paid to be a goalkeeper and not a footballer, so to speak. I agree to an extent. Although the modern day goalkeeper is expected to do a lot more than the old days back in Seaman and Schmeichel's day, when they weren't expected to play football, but they are expected to play football now. They're expected to be tactically better. How do you feel that's going to fare against the likes of Leicester?
Again, it's like, you know what I mean, you can be good with your feet if someone passes it back to you from 15 yards. Defenders under pressure by the centre forward, you pass it back, take a nice touch and then boot it, or take a nice touch and maybe play a 30-yard pass. But don't tell me these goalies are good enough to play quick, fast, intricate passing around the box. They're just not. And then everyone's all of a sudden, we sold the wrong keeper. I mean, just come on, wake up a little bit. We haven't sold the wrong keeper.
Well, now me and you have had discussions about this.
No, we haven't sold the wrong keeper. I mean, look, Martin is as good as he was. There was a reason why he was a number 2 for all the years that he was. He came in, he played really well. There's no denying it. But it was for a portion of the season. He didn't do it over years. He's gone to Villa, and obviously he's a good keeper. You can see that. But all this "we've sold the wrong keeper" shit is just fucking ridiculous. I
wouldn't necessarily we've sold the wrong keeper. This is where we disagree to an extent.
Yeah, but you're like Team Martinez, isn't you? I think a lot of them are. I'm just not having it.
I'm not so much Team Martinez, but I just felt that he was starting to get to that point where he was really going to give Bernd Leno a run for his money. Now, I know he's obviously, in his mind, he's trebled or quadrupled his money. I'm not so sure if we should have sold him now. I just think it would have kept the pressure up on Leno, and also it would have, especially if we're going to go for that top 4 spot and we're going to get into the Champions League, I really think they've sold him at the wrong moment rather than the right moment. I know they got 20 million.
They didn't have a choice though, Joe.
No,
let's be honest.
They
didn't have a choice. He kind of held the club to ransom. You can't do that to Arsenal. I'm sorry, you're not fucking David Seaman. Then maybe it's a different story. But making demands that you need to be number 1 or you've got to be number 1 or go and play for Villa then. Sorry. Let's revisit this in 6 months' time. Let's see where we are with the Martinez Leno.
Yeah, I don't know. I think me and you just aren't going to agree on that one. I'm not necessarily Team Martinez, but and I do believe in Bernd Leno and his abilities.
He's just been made to look bad because of poor decisions at the back. Tony said it. He said, "You got to be a professional footballer. You got to know if you're under pressure. I don't give a crap what the boss has said. Right? You can get the ball up the pitch." And that was lesson number 1 learnt there. And hopefully we won't have to learn it again,
So you think if he'd have put it in at Rose Ed a couple of times rather than try and thread it through the eye of a needle...
He'd probably get a load of abuse in the changing room. But, boss, I'm sorry, what do you want me to do?
But then they wouldn't have scored the other night, would they? A second-rate Austrian side wouldn't have scored against us the other night.
Exactly. So, they're obviously saying, look, Arteta's obviously, a bit of a disciplinarian, or he's saying, look, you've got to do it this way. I don't care if you concede a goal. This is the way I want it done. But I don't know.
Well, let's see how that progresses through the season. But I don't think. Well, I mean, like I say, we'll revisit the Martinez Bernd Leno thing.
Something tells me I'm going to be right.
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that one. So just quickly, I'm not really one for doing score predictions because I'm the worst at predicting sometimes, except for when I'm sitting on park benches with you in Russell Square in central London. And I almost got it right when I said to Tony 3-1 the other night, and it was 2-1. And if Pepe had scored, Tony said, I could see it coming, but then it is Pepe we're talking about. At the moment, he's not exactly playing with the most confidence. So if you could predict a scoreline, what would it be?
I reckon I reckon it's going to be a close game. I think we'll shade it 2-1.
I was going to say 2-1, but as you've said 2-1, I'm going to say 1-0.
All right.
I think we will. I reckon we're going to stop them scoring, and I honestly think. I know what you're saying about Vardy, but I think we're going to stop him, and I think with the likes of Partey protecting the defence, and if he does play Elneny, which I think he will as well.
Pack the midfield out, Joe.
Yeah.
Pack the midfield out. But the thing is, when you've got three midfielders like that are not necessarily wide players, Aubameyang's got to do his bit, and Pepe's got to do his bit. If they start marauding forward too much, and then we're going to get caught out on the flanks, and we're just going to get outnumbered in the middle because they're very good across the middle, Leicester.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you. I mean, the worst case scenario for me is I think a 1-1 draw, but I think we're going to nick it 1-0. So, thanks for joining me anyway. But we predicted an Arsenal win. Myself 1-0 and Kaya 2-1. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. It's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be a very tough game against Leicester City. We know they're going to be up there. They're going to be contending one of those top 4 spots, that or thereabouts. But we need to be strong and we need to be quick, and hopefully we can do a job against Leicester City. But let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That's really important to us here at GoonerTube as we bring you more and more content over the season. Don't forget to hit the like button, smash that like button, and hit that notification bell. That means you'll never miss another bit of content here at GoonerTube. For now, on a blustery afternoon in central London, we bid you farewell, and we'll see you after the Leicester game for the reviews, and look out for those. They're coming after the Leicester game. Take care. We'll see you soon.